Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I got this from XRP Researcher at XRP News underscore. Sorry, this is from what publication? XRP Right Now, which I think is his website. I'll click on that to show you his website. 13 new banks invest in SBI Money Tap, including 7 Bank, aka 7-Eleven. SBI Ripple Asia covers more than 80% of all banking assets in Japan. And this is these banks are SBI Asia is the for those of you that don't know, SBI Holdings over in Japan bought roughly 10.5% of Ripple in 2016, and then they went over and they formed SBI Ripple Asia, and they turned around and formed a bank consortium which comprises about 80% of Japanese banks. And they did all of this for the purpose of creating, they've got this Money Tap app, and they're trying to interconnect all these banks over in Japan using Ripple and hopefully down the road XRP. SBI has made it very clear that they are interested in the promotion and the expansion of XRP. And so this will be interesting to see how that all unfolds. Next, there was a bunch of good tweets that I saw today. This is the first one. This is from Anthony Pompliano. And this tells you, this is what happens to you when your brain, I've heard the term when it comes to Washington, D.C., that the politicians are in a bubble in Washington, D.C. If you want to see what it's like if you remain in a bubble of academia and government your entire life, read this quote and how utterly ridiculous this quote is. And this is from a chairman of the Federal Reserve of the United States. The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. This right here is this thinking, the thinking that has gotten our country and the countries of the world in more debt than the history of the world. This thinking that has devalued our money around the world, with all these fiat currencies over time. This thinking that has tried to sell you on the idea that a certain amount of inflation is a good thing. It's good for us to devalue your money. These are the same people that did that. These people, this is how they think. And this is not the thinking of people who would want to promote making your savings and your currency more value. This is the thinking of people who are wanting to protect themselves and stay in control of your money. That's what this kind of thinking is, and this is where digital assets were born. They were born of this kind of mentality. This is the people's way of fighting back, is what this is. Well, CZ Binance decided to jump in and tweet out Pomp's tweet. He says crypto will increase more than 1,000 times against fiat simply due to the printing alone. And I think that number is low. But he's 100,000% right. Crypto, one of the core things that drove me to come to digital assets and to crypto, and one of the major reasons that people have invested in precious metals like gold, the reason gold is called God's money, is because of the finite supply. It's because they can't make any more of it. They can't print it at will. That is the reason. That is the whole reason. It's always been the reason for all of this. People and central banks and governments, they can destroy money, but they can't destroy gold, and they can't destroy digital assets. Digital assets, the good ones, are set amounts, which brings me to this. I hear a lot of talk, and I own a little bit of XLM just because I think it'll go up with all of them in the near future. But I can get, like I say here, I can give many reasons XRP will dominate XLM, but the one word that summarizes it better than any other is inflation. XLM is designed to be inflationary. They are creating more XLM. So you tell me how this works. If I give you $10 and then I give you 10 British pounds, but the dollars can be printed at will, but the British pounds there will only be that 10. You tell me what happens to the value of those two over time. It's a very simple concept, not hard to understand. So anyway, if there's less of them, they'll be more valuable. As simple as that. And that's why I'm one of the many reasons I'm an XRP investor. Okay, next, this was from CoinDesk Markets. History rhymes. Bitcoin's 200-day moving average on 3-day chart is flatlined for the first time in 4 years. The previous bear market had ended after lagging average gave up its bullish bias, turned flat in April 2015. And what they're basically showing is that the same pattern has emerged. This is something I keep talking about because even though I'm not one of these people that's into doing the charts and studying the charts, I do follow people who do. And this is an interesting point that's being made. Both of these, by the way, it shows that they've bottomed out right in here. Okay. And now I want to show you a few things that I grabbed from Bob Way. Remember, Bob Way was interviewed by Alex Cobb yesterday. And if you haven't seen the interview, go to Alex Cobb's channel and check it out. He did a great job. Digital asset investor. These are my tweets. I summarized some things that I thought were interesting that Bob Way said. And like I said earlier today, one of the most fascinating things to me about everything that Bob Way said in that interview. Now remember, those of you that don't know, Bob Way was one of the first 10 employees at Ripple, and he had to leave because he had a cancer scare. And now he's popped back up, and he's doing interviews and doing some communicating online in the chat rooms. And so he has some behind the scenes that we're not used to having. Well, this is one of the things he said. And the great thing about these is that a lot of what he has said, most of what he's saying, are things that we thought, but we didn't have anybody from the inside who could confirm what we thought, and now we do. The thing I'm looking for most is to see the XRP price break away from the other cryptocurrency prices for value reasons. And we've said this a lot. XRP, there is no comparison with other digital assets to XRP in terms of what it is technologically and in terms of the first mover advantage and the team around it and how long they've been at it and who they're meeting with. The value reasons that are created around that dwarf all the other any value reasons having to do with other digital assets. And this will be seen eventually, like he's saying here. He also said this: once you start to see that XRP has real value, different from the other ones, then people are going to reduce their bets on the other ones and move them into XRP, and the price will diverge. And I've said this a lot before too. The first thing that happens with most of us that enter this digital asset space is we go to Bitcoin because that's what we kept hearing about. And then most people don't stop there now. They go to Bitcoin and then they say, what else is there out there? Now, when I started this in 2013, you had to really look. But now they're a lot more prevalent. The other names are a lot more prevalent. You hear them more. Ethereum, XRP, you hear more about them. And so that transition will happen faster when the masses come in my opinion. But he makes a very valid point here. Then he said this: Bob Way, 2 years ago, we were actively saying to banks, you don't even have to think about XRP. And what he was saying here is that they were scared to even bring it up because anytime they brought up cryptocurrencies, the banks would be like, oh, wait, now software is one thing, but digital currencies and cryptocurrencies, those are bad. That's money laundering, And so that's what it was like. He said that was 2 years ago. Well, Alex Cobb then asked him, was there a point in time where it was like, hey, maybe we should start pushing XRP? Bob says, yes, absolutely. 2017 when the price spiked. And then I said, banks smell the money. Well, I had some smart out. Just for your information, we have a lot of, I call them Twitter cowards. And what they'll do is they'll go and they don't have the guts to say things to you themselves and let people know who they are. So that what they'll do is they'll go open another Twitter account, and you'll see that it only has like one follower, and then they'll do some kind of, they'll try to do a hit job on you and say something ugly to you. I had one guy come in here and he says, well, yeah, but that's not the banks, that's Ripple that smells the money. And the truth is, like what he's saying here, 2 years ago, we were actively saying to banks, you don't even have to think. In other words, they were scared to even bring up XRP because it turned the banks off. And the point he's making here is that this whole thing changed in 2017 when the price spiked, because all of a sudden the bankers wanted to, it wasn't something that was too scary to talk about, because the bankers now were open to listening about it because they smelled the money. And I believe Ripple saw that as the door opening, because the bankers are going home and watching CNBC and hearing about cryptocurrencies going crazy. So the point of all this is greed will drive all of this. You don't have to worry about the banks, whether the banks and Wall Street showing up to the party, and that includes using XRP, because the bankers smell the money. And just like you and I think XRP, the price will go up due to use case and use, think about it for a minute, folks. Those bankers can easily be invested in XRP and also be a part of the use case, and thus increase the investment. I mean, so it's always been a no-brainer in my mind. Okay, this just came from Warren Davidson. He is one of the two guys who's put up the Token Taxonomy Act. He says it will be reintroduced next week. Let the members of the House Financial Services Committee know how important light touch regulatory certainty is for U.S. consumer protection, capital formation, and innovation. He's got a link to the Financial Services Committee. You can go to this committee. It's at financialservices.house.gov. financialservices.house.gov. Then go over here to contact and hit share your story. It says to contact House Financial Services Committee Democratic staff. Please use the form below. You can enter the information right here and tell them what you think, and tell them that you are for the Token Taxonomy Act. This is a bipartisan act. I think one of these guys, I don't know which one, if he's a Republican or a Democrat, but one of them's a Republican and one's a Democrat. Now, he's tweeting out Catherine Wu's tweet. This lady is, I can't remember what she does. Let's see. Catherine Wu is, she's someone over, I think, in Hong Kong. She was complaining about how they're not getting the kind of regulatory certainty they need in Hong Kong. And he's tweeting that out basically to make the point that we have an opportunity here to get our regulatory certainty and get a jump on what's going on in other parts of the world. So go and make sure you let them know this is probably the most important thing we can accomplish in the XRP community in the short and the long term for all of us. Next, I got this from John Booch, I believe, or Boucher. I don't know how you say that. At John Buch. Give him a follow. He sent me this. He said he had reworked. This is from the movie that's coming out about cryptocurrency, and he has redone it and put voiceovers with different YouTubers that he liked. XRP, the Rise of FOMO movie trailer. You can go subscribe to him at YHNF. Go check him out. And finally, I wanted to end with this. This is from Nye, Mr. Michael Nye. He put a quote that was from Mark Yusko. Mark Yusko was on this Evolvement podcast. We are in an emerging state of what I'll call crypto capitalism, and it will replace the existing financial system with a new financial system. That is exactly what's about to happen, folks. You should be very excited, because what is about to happen is exactly that. Crypto capitalism is about to swallow whole. I went largemouth bass fishing this past week, and crypto capitalism is about to open its mouth like a largemouth bass and swallow whole the current financial system through tokenization and the tokenization of assets we haven't even thought of yet. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that crypto capitalism is going to replace the existing financial system. Thank you for listening.